Hello and welcome to the Money Queen podcast. I am Alex Nicolaitis, the Money Queen. I am here to break the stigma that we don't talk about money here. I will deliver the loving bitch slaps that you need in your business to elevate you as a leader and support you through to that next level of welcoming in the wealthiest version of yourself. Backed by 14 years in the accounting and bookkeeping industry, I utilize the support of the masculine systems, structure, and ATO compliance combined with the feminine energetics of mentoring and allowing ourselves to be open to receiving and holding space for queens like yourself who are committed to forming a healthy relationship with money. So hit that subscribe button, leave me a rating, and I cannot wait to have you by my side as we raise the feminine collective and create true generational wealth and change. I'm going to go out there and guess that most of you listening have a vision board in your home, on your phone, on your computer somewhere that you often refer back to when you are looking to go to that next level and you're like, what does my life actually look like? And if you don't, go and create one because they are a beautiful tool that you can use to envisage where you are headed so that you have some direction in your life and go, yes, like that's what I'm aiming for my life to look like, to feel like, and who do I get to be? Who do I get to embody to actually level up to become that version of her, to actually, who's in an energetic alignment towards that goal, in alignment with that board rather. Something that I came across surprisingly a few months ago in my life journey in relationship to my vision board was something that I had on there for about 3 years that actually did not meet my expectations. And I was like, here's the podcast episode. Hi, hello. So this is what we are talking about today. Your vision board and challenging what's actually on there to go, is that actually what you desire? So to give some context, I have lots of things on my vision board in terms of what I want my business to feel like, to look like, what impact I want it to make, what revenue I would like, or not revenue, net profit I would like it to have, very big difference between the two, what I want my love relationship to look like, what I want my friendships to feel like, the environment that I'm around, the opportunities that get, put in front of me in my life, a variety of things, some, travel plans, those sorts of things. And also, how can I make impact outside of my business? So one of the things on my vision board is to actually go over to a third world country for at least 2 weeks and do like a humanitarian project, because making impact doesn't just need to be inside a business, it's your entire life. So that's one of my goals. An extra piece that is on my vision board is my next car. If you don't know, the car that I have right now today, which is going to change at 6 o'clock tonight, is a beautiful A3 Audi convertible. I love this car. Like when I bought it, it was my dream car for like 10 years before I bought it. And when I sold out of my last business and got the money from that, I was like, what am I going to spend this money on? I just don't know. And then this car, I was like, oh my God, I can get the car and I can pay for it in cash. And I was like, this feels so expansive. So I started my search and I found this car. It was in Sydney at the time, one female owner, very low kilometers, went to Sydney, saw it and checked it out and it was all good. And I was like, yes, this is such a beautiful, beautiful car, well looked after. And for me, putting the top down on a beautiful sunny day and just literally, as corny as it sounds, feeling the wind in my hair as I was driving, I was like, oh, this feels so expansive. And for the next phase of life that I was moving into I'd already started thinking, I already had gotten out of the business at that stage. But when I started thinking, I might be wanting to leave this business, what would I actually do next? This car came into my mind as a possibility. So then actually living out that experience of feeling what it would feel like to be in a convertible and drive around on a nice sunny day was just like, wow, like I really want that experience in my world and not just a one-off. Like I want that to be, my full reality. Needless to say, I bought the car and every time, even until just yesterday when I got in it last, I look at it and I'm like, I fucking love this car. Like it is just the best. And another interesting note that I raised with this is 6 months ago, my coach actually challenged me to say, like, who would you actually be without this car? Like, what attachments do you have towards being an Audi owner and a convertible owner? And I'm like, oh, my ego was like hurt by the question, but it needed to actually unpack what I was holding on to and what I got to actually work through to let go of, to then go, actually, I can sell this car. Like, I am not the value of this car, and I'm still a beautiful fucking epic human without this car in my world. And what would life actually look like if I didn't even own any car? Because I live in the city at the moment, and I live in a suburb where you can literally walk everywhere. I only drive my car once, maybe twice a week max, because of the environment that I live in. It's just so easily and accessible to get to everywhere I want, walking or by public transport. So it's not really a necessity in my life, it's a luxury. Yeah, that was really challenging about 6 months ago to go, oh, who am I without this car? Such a silly thing, but actually, like, it was relevant for me. It's my story, and I'm not going to apologize for it. It is what it is. Probably a factor towards that is because I've been dreaming about it for 10 years of, oof, this car looks amazing, but I just don't know when that would be a reality for me. So then actually living it out and still having that every time I looked at it going, oh my God, this is amazing, was a thing, is a thing. So worked through the letting go process of the car. I'm now in a relationship as well, which you'll realize why later on why that adds value to this conversation. And on my vision board, I had the next car, which is a beautiful Mercedes, small sort of SUV type car. I don't know the specifics of it, but every time I saw it driving around, there's quite a few of them where I live. I'm like, oh, that's a sexy car. Like, that is a sexy car. My voice is even croaking right now. It's like I'm going through puberty. But it was just like, yes, that. It just, amen. And I still see them now and I'm like, that looks like I'm still think that it's a sexy car. Anywho, I will move on. It was on my vision board to say to myself, the next phase of my life, the next evolution of my life is going to be a family car. Because this convertible obviously isn't conducive of having a family, and because it's not very practical. Like, it's a 3-door car, so people getting in the back, it's a little bit annoying for them. And I don't know if you've ever been in a convertible, but you need to sort of like dip your head down to actually get into the back, and then you need to climb over the seat. So it's just a pain in the ass. So I knew that this car would be in my world to be my expansive self, to step into the next version of myself and to, live out the rest of my single life, essentially. And when I got into the next relationship, I'm like, you've probably heard this from previous episodes, there is no way that I was actually getting into a relationship unless I'm like, I would marry this person. So I'm not playing around anymore. I'm 34 years old and I'm like, I'm done dating for the sake of dating. Like, next person, I'm like, this is actually it. So we're in that relationship now. And, so the next evolution of my life is coming. And whilst him and I don't have a family as such, he does have a son. And it's like, my life is now evolving into that period, into that stage where the convertible just isn't practical anymore. And it's like, we get to evolve. I get to evolve. And so what I did last week, and actually, I digress. We actually need to go back a bit further. I've got a question for you. Do you want your 2024 to look exactly the same as this current year? Or are you ready for some sassy wake-up calls around your money world and a fire to be lit under your arms? Introducing the Money Queen Coaching Package, a 6-week journey which has already been a key pivotal experience for queens just like you to shift their relationship with money. Get a personalized sacred money archetype reading, which is pretty much like a human design, but for your money world, filled with aha moments and 2 tailored 90-minute sessions to reset your money mindset and unleash your magnetic power. Click the link in the show notes to claim your throne, Queen. The last couple of months, whilst my partner and I have been together, we've been going to a few car yards and test driving some cars. And the first car that I test drove was the beautiful Mercedes that has been on my vision board for the last 3 years. And I was so disappointed. And I was like, oh, well, that was a letdown. And then I stopped and checked in with myself, and I'm like, that's so interesting. The vision that I had for my next car, the next evolution of my life, where I wanted my life to go, when I actually went and had the courage to go to a car yard and get myself in one of those cars and test drive it, I was like, it doesn't have any guts. It doesn't have any balls. Like, my car right now is a sports line. So like when I put my foot down, it actually goes. And I enjoy that. And when I put my foot down on this Mercedes, it didn't actually go. It didn't have any grunt to it. And I was like, oh, that was a bit lackluster. So here's this picture that I've had on my vision board for the last 3 years. And I'm like, when I buy this car, it will signify the next evolution of my life. And then I actually go to the car yard, sit in the car, envisage me driving this car, and I'm like, underwhelming. What else is on my vision board that I haven't had the courage to actually taste test a little bit of and realize that's actually not what I want? And that is what this episode is about, to go, I want you to have a look at your vision board and see, are there things on there which I can actually taste test right now and say to myself, like, is this actually in alignment with what I want? What does this feel like? Actually, is there something better for me out there? And for me, that was the case. So being in that car, whilst it's new and shiny and it looks sexy on the outside, on the inside, where I'm actually going to be spending the time, not on the outside looking at it, I'm going to be spending the time inside the console driving the thing. It didn't feel expansive. It didn't feel like me. I don't ever want to go backwards in my world. And living and buying that car would make me feel like I was going backwards, because the interior tech felt like a Tesla. And I'm like, if I want to drive a Tesla, I'm going to buy a Tesla. That's not what I want. That was my experience. So then I, went on this journey of going to different dealerships and car yards and testing and driving all different cars. And it was interesting to experience the process of going to the car yards and test driving the cars and notice my money stories come up with my partner. And, he's used to buying cars, upwards of 170 to $200,000 cars, somewhere in that vicinity. I'm not entirely sure, but like that type of luxury car. And, the Audi cost me $33,000. So I'm like, I'm nowhere near that level of spending money on cars, because I just don't see value in them as much as he does. Like, for him, he loves cars, but like, I enjoy cars, but I don't love them to the extent that he does. Hence why he's able to and willing to spend that much money on them, invest rather that much money on them. So it was interesting experiencing that, him in his money world going, it's only money. That's the phrase that he says often. It's only money. And me going, that actually feels constrictive as opposed to expansive. Like, I remember we went into a Maserati dealership here, and he was like, it's only 250. And I'm like, going from 33,000 to 250. I'm like, that doesn't feel good to me. That does not feel good. It may be fine in your reality, but like, it's not your car, it's my car. And, a rule that I had created as part of this process is I will not buy a car if I cannot pay it outright in cash. So like, I've got a fair amount of money in my savings, but I'm like, spending that much amount of money on a car like the 250 Maserati, I was like, that doesn't feel good to me. That does not feel good. It feels, as I said, contractive as opposed to expansive. And I don't want any part of this experience to feel contractive. It's meant to be expansive. It's meant to, open up the channel or open up another door to the channel of our next evolution and our next, stage of life. And that to me, because I don't have the same love and desire of cars that he does, I'm like, that's your reality. That's your money story. That's your desires. But this is actually about me. So like, thank you, but like, no, like put your stuff in a box. And when we're shopping for a car for you, like, then that can come out and then that's relevant. But right now, this is actually about me and my experience and the car that I want to buy. So it was really interesting to experience that and delve deeper into my own money story. And I finally found the one that I have bought. I'll keep that one a secret until it's actually here. But yes, I should be receiving that in June, July. But, it was a beautiful experience of I guess getting a loving bitch slap to myself to go, I hadn't plucked up the courage to go to a simple car yard to test drive a car because I was like, I don't feel worthy of this. I don't feel worthy of that car. I was not in the same energetic vibration of being a Mercedes owner. And until I had experienced the last 3 years of my life and actually plucked up the courage to go there with the help of my partner, I was like, okay, I've now evolved into the person that I am today who can go in there and actually there's something better out there for me. This isn't what I wanted. Well, this isn't what I want now. It's what I wanted when I created it. And to be actually really transparent, every year I do a refresh of my vision board. And for the last 3 years, I didn't even think twice about keeping that car on the board because I was like, nope, that's it. I'm done. It's like, where else are you closing out your world and your reality to other possibilities? And just being like, nope, I know this is what I want. How are you shutting off yourself to having challenging conversations and challenging your own damn status quo and therefore limiting your experience, limiting your potential? Because I know that that's what was happening in my world. And, you know, so obviously I've put a deposit down on a new car. And then between my partner and I, we have 3 cars now. And obviously we don't need 3. So I've sold my car and it's being handed over this afternoon at 6:30. By the time that you are listening to this, my car, my beautiful Audi converter will no longer be mine. And, you know, when I went to meet the person who has bought my car and he was like, yep, love it. I'll buy it. Paid a deposit. I actually was driving home from that. I was at a set of traffic lights and I looked up as the traffic started moving and here is this beautiful pink Bentley. And the number plates, I shit you not, was Q111-011. And I'm like, angel numbers are all around me lately, and this was just brilliant. I've literally just come from a meeting where I've received a deposit to sell my beautiful Audi, and I'm seeing now this pink blush Bentley right next to me with angel numbers on it. I'm like, I said to my partner, I was like, I don't know, but I'm like, Bentley may be my next car. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. He's like, whoa, Nelly. But, you know, you never know. You don't know what's going to happen. But it was a beautiful and fun and playful experience to have that all roll out in its beautiful, in the beautiful stages that it did, in allowing myself to actually disconnect with my current car, the selling process being actually so easy and effortless. And then once I actually received the deposit, seeing the Bentley next to me with the angel numbers on there, I'm like, yes. And so, you know, to wrap this full circle, now because I'm in a transition phase right now, by the time that you are listening to this, I will now be living with my partner permanently. I've changed states. I'm now a resident of New South Wales again. And I have actually decided to completely strip my vision board and redo it because this new evolution of my life, this new stage of my reality gets to have a complete overhaul. What do I still desire in my world for me as a person? And also bringing in some elements of our relationship as well. Where do we want to grow as a partnership? How do I want to be challenged in our relationship? How can I challenge him in our relationship? And therefore making, you know, us better individuals singularly and our lives together more wholesome, which, as you've listened to my first episode for 2024, wholesome is my word of the year. So everything in my world comes back to that word of, if this isn't wholesome, then I don't want a bar of it. So as your action step from today's episode, I encourage you to review your vision board. If there's any actionable steps that you can take to actually feel into and live into and experience anything that's on there, I encourage you to do that and connect with it differently and say, is this actually what I desire? Or is there something different? Is there something more expansive? Is this actually out of alignment with where I am at now and where I desire my world to go to? Because I think a lot of people create vision boards, but seldom actually go back and reflect and refresh. That is my invitation to you. Thank you, Queen, for saying yes to your yes in listening to this episode and being a part of raising the feminine collective one conversation at a time. Remember to share this episode with your business besties and join me in breaking the tabooness around having money conversations. As always, if you have enjoyed this episode, please rate, subscribe, and share this on your social media, remembering to tag me in it to help this conversation go further, which creates a bigger ripple effect.